actually, in preparation of my contribution, I have these little tomatoes ready for you to look at, because I don't have slides, so I do it with props. What I think is very important, and you might wonder why is somebody who's a professor in migration law presenting this, is that we look at the regulatory infrastructure at play. And migration law and social policy, which are my domains, are part of this bigger regulatory infrastructure that is relevant. But it is, Renee mentioned, import quotas, subsidies, price policies. I would add public procurement. Where does a government buy their vegetables and fruits for the canteen? Do they offer meat still at a government canteen, yes or no? All those legislative bits are part of what I see as my field of studying migration law and the impact of law and the way we produce food and the way we do automate it or not.
Together we think about the different impacts of technology on migration, and one session was about the labor market, and so we started to look into that. As Felicitas mentioned, there are of course many many shapes that technology can come. We have digitalization, AI, automatization, but also robotics, machines. Then you have the wider context of e-globalization, remote work or platform work, the gig economy and e-commerce. And we wanted to see, so what changes for mobility, migrants and refugees, and what are the chances and risks?
What we really need to focus on, it's not contributing to the betterment of society. And so what would be better is to fight against these rising inequalities and global disasters by promoting issues such as workers' rights, unions. You know, in the United States, we have an incredibly low union percentage of around 10%. So we really just do not have unions and workers' rights here. And that's something that if we could strengthen that, then that would help all workers to have more kind of abilities to travel. Social safety nets need to be strengthened, developing real kinds of communities in locations that can provide assistance to each other.
Ich weiß selber als Migrantin, was für eine Schwierigkeit man hat, sich zu integrieren. Das ist alles ist gut, die Kurse, die man 8 Stunden am Tag macht, arbeitet, parallel vielleicht irgendwo sucht. Das ist alles so auf Papier sehr gut klingt, aber in Wirklichkeit, wenn du das auch praktisch, vor allem mit Frauen mit Kindern, das ist eigentlich sehr große Schwierigkeiten man hat. Und wenn man jetzt durch den Krieg auch geflohen ist, das war eine ganz andere Wahrnehmung. Man vielleicht hat Schwierigkeiten, sich da wohlzufühlen. Wir haben einfach, ich habe gesehen, dass das Bedarf ist so groß, dass die Menschen, also Frauen vor allem, wollen einfach arbeiten. Die haben drüben in Ukraine, im Heimatland, gearbeitet und würden gerne weiter hier arbeiten. Aber das ist Sprachbarriere und Kinderbetreuung ist gerade ein sehr, sehr großes Problem.
These countries were, more than many, explicitly noting that they have to compete for their own people to come back. It's not just a matter of nostalgia that is going to convince people to return. It's going to take a great deal more than feelings of nostalgia. It's going to, because people leave for reasons. And as many pointed out, the reasons tend to be economic.
What we have for many years are bi- and multilateral regulations. What we see now, and this is why the global care chains are important. We see that we have increasingly with neoliberalism, international recruiters. And this is new. Those recruiters take over responsibilities which have been provided for many years by the state. And they start shaping the field. And I think this is of interest, sometimes also of concern or of benefit. We will see. We will speak about that.
So with this, going back to the question that I posed at the beginning, is this helpful for this global south? Definitely the interest to support are genuine. That's what I believe. The long-term impacts, however, are limited as the development programs tend to simplify the complexities and strips out the social and cultural practices and knowledges at context to resolve the differences and make things appear as neutral and universal.
For the woman at home. So what is important is when dealing with climate change issues, we have to recognize the fact that men and women may not have the same ability to migrate. Usually the immobile, those who are not able to move, tend to be women.
The need to recognize in many kinds of social developments the dynamics of multiple causes, multiple processes, and multiple outcomes.
And I think it's also important to remember that in rural households, migration is just one of many different potential adaptive strategies. So thinking carefully about where migration fits within this broader sort of portfolio of choices. That's actually one thing I think we could use more research on.